We begin with the continuing fallout over this legal loss for Donald Trump. He had been fighting to try through the courts to slow down something that you really can never stop, which is an independent criminal probe. This into the documents allegedly stolen from the White House and brought to Mar-a-Lago. Trump was rejected by the appeals court. This is a big ruling because it is basically irreversible legally. 99% of cases never go on to the Supreme Court. There's been no indication the Supreme Court would change what the appeals court is doing. And what they're doing is telling Donald Trump, you're not above the law, you lose, and this case is just going to barrel forward. Also, as I've mentioned to you, you may recall Attorney General Garland appointed this special counsel, and he's going to run two probes, January 6th and this open Mar-a-Lago probe. So now what the judges did here is really fortify and protect that Mar-a-Lago probe. There's not going to be any more review of the documents outside of whatever the DOJ does. Now, if you're thinking, wow, this sounds like quite a rebuke to Donald Trump, and you're wondering how this works in our system, well, when our system works, judges don't care what party you're from or whether you're a former president or powerful or even whether they might be nominally linked to you. For example, let's say you're a former president who appointed them. So take a look tonight at the three judges who just dealt Trump this loss. All three happen to be Republican appointees. Two of them are Trump appointees to the court. You're looking at the people who, regardless of their professional history, told Donald Trump no. And when you look at this case, several witnesses have also faced the criminal grand jury, including three close Trump aides yesterday. Another suggestion that the work is not done and that it is possible all this evidence could lead to indictments. Then you have the other issues I mentioned, January 6th. And while Democrats will be handing over the gavel next month, they still are in charge of Congress, the subpoena power, the committees, and that includes special committees like the January 6th committee, which met privately today. So not one of those public hearings that we cover, but they had a private meeting. And they, we believe, according to the reporting, were focused especially on what to do with the final report. We're expecting public testimony as well when they release it. And there's a discussion about criminal referrals. There's also final steps for Trump and other targets, NPR reporting that is what the committee was also considering, again, in a hearing that we just don't have a ton of public information about because it was deliberately closed door. With all of that kicking around, I want to bring in NYU law professor Melissa Murray. Welcome back.
Hi, Ari. How are you?
I'm great. Let's start with the continuing fallout over the Mar-a-Lago loss for Trump. Let me read a little bit from what I just showed those judges, two of them happen to be Trump appointees, said. They agree with the Garland Justice Department that this district court judge improperly exercised jurisdiction, which means they dismissed the entire special master. As for why they rejected Trump's request, they say that a special exception for him would, quote, defy our nation's foundational principle that our law applies to all without regard to numbers, wealth, or rank. What does this ruling mean in your view?
So this is an exceptional ruling, not in that it's extraordinary in some way, but because these judges, many of whom are dyed-in-the-wool conservatives, these are not liberal squishes, but they applied the rule of law here. And as they say in the opinion, federal courts are courts of limited jurisdiction. They don't get to exercise and act on everything they want to. And in this particular case, the judge here, Eileen Cannon, exercised equitable jurisdiction, which, as this decision notes, is something that should only be deployed in extraordinary circumstances. These were not those extraordinary circumstances, and allowing a grant of equitable jurisdiction here would open the door for any subject of a search warrant to similarly request an exercise of equitable jurisdiction.
Let me slow you down, only because I feel like we're using, lawyer words.
We are using lawyer words. Let me break it down then. Equitable jurisdiction means beyond the ordinary course of providing a remedy to actually intervene because you think the circumstances are so extraordinary that it warrants special intervention. These are not those circumstances here. In order to do this, you would have to pass a four-factor test that really lays out how truly extraordinary the circumstances are here that warrant this kind of extraordinary judicial intervention. That's not present here. And to do it here would open the door to any subject of a search warrant seeking similar kind of relief in the future. That's obviously untenable for the criminal justice system, and to do it only for former presidents, also untenable.
You're zeroing into the jurisdictional aspect of this, which I wasn't necessarily expecting, but I'm going to go there with you. That's why we book our law professors, because there's layers to this Trump loss, and the people in Mar-a-Lago are upset about it. They're concerned now. They lost one of the ways they were trying to slow and mess with the case. It seems to me that you're also referring to sort of what had been described as kind of a legal trick to try to go forum shop, look for some other judge, some other place where you might find someone willing to make the special exception that the Trump folks wanted. And here, these more senior, basically more powerful judges are saying, hey, we're not going to allow that. And if we did, a lot of people might then try to abuse that loophole.
No, this is exactly right, Ari. I mean, again, the Trump team looked for this judge. They picked a Trump appointee in Palm Beach, Florida, to put this lawsuit there. And what this decision is ultimately is not just a rebuke of Donald Trump and what was actually an outlandish legal argument to make. It is a rebuke of Judge Cannon. And they basically said, this plaintiff, this litigant, did not lay out the test the right way, did not establish any of the things that needed to be established. And you went along with it. Like, I mean, this is bad for her, not just bad for Donald Trump.
Yeah. In terms of the testifying part, so that's sort of why this judge was out of line, out of order, as I put it when the news broke last night. This whole court's out of order, if you will. Now it's brought back in line. Trump loses this trick. The bigger question, though, beyond who reviews the docs is, and I always say allegedly stolen because we haven't had a ruling beyond the search warrant process about what happened here. But the larger question is, did somebody steal a bunch of top secret documents, then hold on to them, then lie about them? Is that person just some rogue actor on Trump's team? Again, we don't have all the facts yet because it's been a pretty secretive process. Was Donald Trump knowingly directing that, in which case he would be the thief? And I say that in all seriousness. We can't assume anything yet when you have some complexities, although the boxes, the documents were kind of all over the place down there at Mar-a-Lago. So they're trying to get that sorted. Professor, final question to you, reading from the New York Times coverage here. Witnesses connected to the probe appeared in front of this criminal grand jury Thursday. That included Scavino, who we know from more than one problem, including running Trump's Twitter, William Russell and William Harrison, who both worked for Trump when he was in the White House. And so, again, with maximum fairness, Melissa, if they go under oath and say, oh, yeah, it was, Tommy down by the docks, he grabbed all the documents, he hid them down in Florida, that's our under oath testimony, that might help Trump. If, by contrast, they say, no, nobody does this rogue, this was coming from the top, where does that lead us on whether DOJ decides to charge anyone?
I mean, again, I think the testimony that these individuals are giving are incredibly important for this ongoing investigation. The fact that the special master can stop reviewing these documents and allow the criminal investigation to proceed will also be important here. But this has picked up more steam. This is an accelerant to this criminal investigation. And again, if it does turn out that there is someone close to Donald Trump who can provide testimony that he is the one who directed the seizure of these documents, directed them to be kept here, that's going to be bad for him. I think it's going to be very hard for the Department of Justice to say that this is not a situation where accountability should be sought. And again, this is why we have the special counsel here, Jack Smith. If President Trump is, again, a candidate, then it needs to be distanced from the ordinary workings of the Department of Justice. And this provides that kind of insulation for it to happen. This is an important ruling. It accelerates what's going on in this criminal investigation. And this is more legal jeopardy for former President Trump.
Hey, I'm Ari Melber. Thanks for watching The Beat. I wanted to let you know I'm writing a foreword to the January 6th committee's full report, which is coming out soon from HarperCollins. You can go pre-order the book right now, and it'll come to you first when the report comes out in the fall or whenever the government releases it. Just search Melber Jan 6th on Amazon or your favorite independent book site and click pre-order. You'll be the first to get both the report and my new piece on the coup conspiracy. You can also go to melberbook.com and order it there.